Hi everyone, it's Miranda with Multiplicity Crafts. Today I am doing a video on paper quilling some earrings, and this is a step-by-step tutorial. Now this is also part of a collaboration with my friend Ishani, so I will have her link below. As you can see here, I begin with some paper quilling strips. These I've actually made myself, and I have a fast drying glue that I'm going to be using. This is in the Art Glitter Glue bottle, but it's actually the Barely Art Glue, so I will have all of that information linked below for you. So I'm going to begin by just taking one of my paper strips and just wrapping it around the glue bottle to give me a nice round shape. Now you don't have to necessarily wrap it around a glue bottle or anything that I have done. You can find things around your house that you can use that'll work just as well. So I'm going to go ahead and get this started, and when you get your circle started, you want to make sure that you have it nice and even, because this is going to be the base for your earring. So once I have that perfected, I'm going to slide that off of the glue bottle and then add some more glue to wrap the remainder of that paper all the way around. Now this will give you a pretty stable earring base, but just one layer is not going to do it. You're going to need probably around 3 layers of paper in order to get the stability that you're wanting. So I'm just showing here how I'm going around and making sure that everything is even and that the paper's not shifted or coming above the line of what I want for the earring base. Also, when you're applying your glue, I would recommend that you use a fine metal tip point for your glue, because you don't want too much glue coming out, because it'll kind of wrinkle up your paper, and that's not what you're wanting. And so this is the completed circle with just one layer. Again, it's not completely stable at this point. It's still very pliable and movable, and that's not really what we want because we need a little bit of stability. So I'm going to go in and add another strip of paper, and the third strip I add off camera, but just for this video I'm just showing the 2 because you get the idea after 2 strips. I like to try to meet up the previous paper with the previous seam where I left off, and that way you don't have little paper seams all the way around. Now I'm going to speed this up again because you probably understand by this point how I am gluing this on. And then once I have this particular strip placed on here, I'm going to add a third strip off camera. With each strip that you add, you're going to get added stability. So I'm going to get the third strip placed off camera, like I said, and then I'm going to go in with my quilling tool. If you've never seen a quilling tool, it's just a metal tool basically that has a slit cut in the end of it where you place your paper. So I'm just going to quill about maybe an inch worth, and then I'm going to come the opposite direction about an inch's worth or so, I would say. This is not rocket science. I'm not measuring anything. I'm just kind of guesstimating, I guess you could say, where I need to put my tool. So once I have that rolled up where I want it, then I'm going to go down roughly about an inch and then go the opposite direction that I went previously. So I'm kind of going like forwards, and then on the next one I'm going backwards, and so on. As you can see, it's making kind of a whirly gig shape, I guess you could call it. I'm not really sure what this shape would be called. It's just a lot of little pretty paper swirls. But you're not really going to need it to be just absolutely perfect, because once we place it inside the earring base, you'll notice that I'm just going to be scrunching it up anyway. So it's not like it has to be absolute perfection or perfectly measured at each turn. Now when I get to the end of this, I have a little bit more than an inch left, but it's close enough. So I'm going to just go ahead and start about where I think the inch point would be and just roll that up. Again, it's probably a little bit more than that, but since I was so close to the end, I went ahead and just rolled the remainder of that up, and it's perfectly fine. So you can see here what it looks like once I have it all finished, and it makes a pretty little shape, but like I say, it's very abstract, so nothing has to be an exact science. So here's the earring base, and now that I've got the layers on there, it's stable but still movable. So I'm going to pinch that into a teardrop shape. So all you want to do is just pinch one end and leave the other end rounded. It's super easy. And your earring base is still somewhat pliable, so you can move it around. Now when you add this inner whirly zig, whirly gig, whatever we're calling it, inside, it's going to add even more stability to the earring. And I'm just adding a little bit of glue inside the earring base, and I'm going to place my first little swirled paper into the earring. So you can see here I'm just scrunching that up, and it doesn't really matter if everything's perfectly measured at this point, so, or at any point really. It's a very abstract look. So you're good to go there. When I place this little swirl component, the red paper inside, I am making sure that it's scrunched up really nicely so I have room to pack more in. I'm going to do another example here just to show you. Again, we're going forward about an inch. I'm rolling it forward or away from me about an inch. Okay, then I'm taking that off of the tool. I'm going down about another inch or so, and then I'm rolling that towards me about an inch or so. And you want to roll that nice and tight. And then once you have that finished, then just pull your quilling tool out, and it'll pull out easily because it's got that slit cut in it, remember? And then I'm going to do the same thing, down about an inch, forward or away from me, rolling it, and trying to keep my little layers of the roll all in line so they're not all wonky and going every which way. Again, dismount that off of your quilling tool, go down about an inch, and opposite direction, which would be towards me. And it's kind of confusing because sometimes the paper wants to turn around and you're like, wait, which way am I going? So in your mind, you want to be thinking forward, backwards, forward, backwards. So you can remember the pattern that you're going in. Again, down an inch. We're going to go forward this time. And I'm just kind of walking you through this baby steps just so you can see what I'm doing so it's not super confusing. I'm going to speed this up just a little bit simply because I think you understand probably we're going forward, backward, forward, backward. And if you're at the end of the strip and it's close enough, just roll the rest of it on up. It's not going to matter. We're going to scrunch it up in the earring anyway. So I'm going to kind of do a trial run before I add my glue just to see how I want this to lay. So right about there looks pretty good. Again, I'm going to go in with a little bit of my fast drying glue. And this time I'm going to add some actually onto the previous red paper that I've already placed in there. And this will add some more stability, and it'll keep the component inside, the little swirled component inside, from just, popping out or, not behaving as it should. So I'm going to place that in, and I'm going to glue this swirl onto the previous one that I already placed. Now, as you can see, there's still a gap at the top of the earring. That you will want to fill in also, but it doesn't look like it's going to take quite a full piece of paper. So you can just go ahead and swirl up a full piece and then just rip off or cut off what you don't need. But for the sake of time, I'm not going to fill that in just because I don't want to have to make you sit through another one of the examples. Now I'm going to go in with a black strip, and this time I'm just rolling it up just regular. Just roll it up straight, put it on your table flat, let it uncoil just a little bit, stop it with your finger, and you can pull a little bit of the tension out of it if you need to, and then just glue the very, very tip end onto itself. You don't want to add too much glue because you still want the inside of the little coil you've just made to still be movable. And what you're going to do is all those little layers of circles, you're going to pull those all down to one side. As you can see, I've just did with my fingernail very easily, and then just pinched those into place. To me, it almost looks like a peacock feather. And then you just want to kind of shape it to be somewhat of a teardrop shape. And this is what we're going to add onto the top part of the earring, just to kind of hide some of those inner workings and also to add a little bit of dimension. Now this part is going to stick up a little bit from the rest of the earring. Again, this is just adding dimension and giving you a little something of interest for the eye to look at, so everything's not so just one-dimensional. If I had the red paper behind there at the top, which I would in the finished earring, that would give me even more to glue this little teardrop shape onto. But since that's not there, I'm just kind of gluing it on, as you can see, around the base. I'm going to roll up another strip of red paper. This one's also going to be a teardrop shape. After you roll it, let it unroll a little bit on your desk, and then just catch it in place, pull it taut, and you can just glue it wherever you need it. There are little tools that you can use to unroll everything to the exact diameter that you want. You could even use like a circle template or something that you make yourself. But for me, I can just pretty much eyeball it and see, okay, that's about where I want it. Now on this one, I'm pulling all of the little circles down to the end, but this time I'm pinching it on the opposite end. Again, making a teardrop shape, but leaving the circle in the center you can see there. And that's going to be very important because that's where our earring post is going to go through later once I add the other little teardrop shapes in red. I'm going to glue this onto the very back part of the earring base, not the dimensional part I just added, but the very, very back, flush with the earring base. And then once this is on there nice and dry and stable, I'm going to add two more. One at the very top, glued to the earring base and that red teardrop I've already added, and one on the opposite side for a total of 3. So you can see here what it looks like with the 3 added, and yes, I have added a little black flat back bead to the inner workings of it just to kind of hide all of that. Then you're going to take an earring that you already have, just place it through that circle there at the very top, and then that'll go, of course, into your ear, obviously, and then you can put the earring backing on the back. You're welcome to add a hook if you prefer, but I thought, well, you know, you can just use an earring you already have. I probably would use a black stud instead of this one I have, but just for example purposes, you get the idea. Here's the finished photos of the earrings up close. And I hope you learned something today. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know in the comments. Again, don't forget about the collaboration, and I will have the link for my friend down below. Thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful day.